What if I told you there's a road trip where over the course of a week you could swim with manatees, explore ancient caves, chill on white sand beaches, and dance your way through a Mardi Gras parade? That's the magic of a Gulf Coast road trip on a route that winds through some of the most underrated and unforgettable spots in the South. Our 5-day journey started in Tampa and ended in New Orleans, and it's a week of adventures we will never forget. So grab your flip-flops, your camera, and maybe a few beads because we're hitting the road and the Gulf Coast is calling. We started the journey by leaving early from Tampa and heading about an hour north to Crystal River. Heading out to go swimming with manatees.
You'll recognize them, they kind of look like this.
Swimming with manatees is something I've always wanted to do, and so that was the first stop on our road trip along the Gulf Coast. Good to go. Alright, we got our wetsuits on and we are heading out. They said there's only like 5 to 10 manatee out today, so not gonna be too crazy, but should be a lot of fun. Pops is looking fresh. Look at those shoes. He's the only one still rocking the 5-finger shoes. We paid for the private tour that had a maximum of 6 people, and we were joined by 2 others who were great, with our guide telling us that we were going out to meet manatees, which he referred to as floating potatoes. I got lots of good vibes for the floating potatoes.
Good. That's all you can bring.
Heading out to the boat, and they said that the manatee likes swimming with people because their whole thing is that they like to vibe and eat grass. They have no predators and they just get to live their life and enjoy it, apparently. Sounds like Pops, vibing and eating grass.
They don't speak English, though. It'll be tough to communicate.
This entire experience is very relaxing. You don't go out on the open water, so you just cruise along in this bay until you get to the area where the manatees are at. We had both a boat captain and a guide, with the captain managing the boat and the guide looking out for the manatees and then helping us when we were swimming in the water with them. Basically, where all the other boats were is where the manatees were going to be, and we were given instructions on how to use our pool noodle and just to float in the 3 to 4 feet of water when we saw a manatee.
So we found a manatee and we are swimming out to it now in about 2 feet of water where you can't move your legs. It's definitely an experience.
When we found our first manatee, it was just sleeping on the bottom, and we got to sit and watch it for about 10 minutes, but it didn't move or do anything. After that though, our guide was able to find another manatee that was just slowly floating along the water and eating some grass. We got to float alongside it for about 15 minutes just watching where it went, and our guide got this awesome shot of the manatee eating, which you can even hear it eating.
Cool, we were just following a manatee for a while. The visibility is pretty low, but cool.
After about 45 minutes in the water, it was time to get out, and they offered us tea and hot cocoa and then drove us back to the shop. Alright, Pops, what'd you think?
Well, my immediate reaction was it was really cool. It was really cool going out there, following them around, especially when they surfaced, where you could see them and like the face is literally right next to yours.
Even with the visibility being low though, it was still pretty cool to be, we saw 2 manatees, one was sleeping, the other one was going around and eating and everything, and it's not something I would have normally expected to see, so pretty cool experience. And now we're heading out on our Gulf Coast road trip. On our way out of Crystal River, we stopped at Cattle Dog to grab a coffee and a pastry since we hadn't really had any breakfast that morning.
Shout out to Cattle Dog for making a good cortado. Heading on.
Heading north, we drove about 45 minutes to Cedar Lake's Woods and Gardens, supposedly a hidden gem in this part of Florida. They give you a map that shows you all the different stops along the trail, and to do the upper and the lower, it's about a mile. This site was originally a limestone quarry, but Dr. Raymond Weber transformed it over 25 years into a lush, multi-level botanical garden. It's an amazing story of creativity and vision, and it is beautiful to see. This place is incredibly cool. It is so beautiful and peaceful to walk around. This is a 142-year-old bonsai tree. I have no idea what I was expecting when I came here, but this is definitely not it. I highly recommend that you take at least an hour to walk around the upper and the lower level, and the map they give you shows a designated path that lets you see everything. As you walk the winding stone paths, you'll see waterfalls, dramatic cliffside views, bridges, and even hidden nooks. It almost feels like you're exploring some type of secret garden. Check it out, there's even a waterfall you can walk behind. This project began in the early 1990s, and it was built over the next 25 years, culminating in it opening to the public as a non-profit in 2014. Do make sure that you watch for alligators on the trail though. This is pretty incredible, right? Dr. Weber even built his own house on the property, and you actually walk across the back patio of his house while you're doing the path. That's a pretty amazing view to have from a house, looking out over the quarry above those trees. The last thing to see is the 500-year-old live oak. Wow, look at how big that tree is.
I love trees, and this is amazing. Wow.
I definitely have never seen an oak tree that big.
I don't think I've ever seen one that big. We've seen some big trees too in our day. That's incredible. It's amazing what that guy accomplished in there. It's beautiful, but one of the things I really enjoyed was so much variety of plant life in there. Everywhere you turn, different blossoms, different types of plants. So yeah, it's a fun spot.
Also, one note that Devil's Den is by here as well, which is a great place for scuba diving and snorkeling. You gotta get reservations way in advance if you want to do that one though. From there, we drove about 30 minutes north to the city of Gainesville. Pops and I are changing from our normal burgers and fried chicken to go to this place, which is a Florida chain that makes health food. Known as Vail Food Company, this spot was started in Tallahassee, Florida. That was a great spot for a healthy and fun lunch. Now we're heading on to explore a couple of things in Gainesville before going up to Tallahassee. We are on the Florida University campus, and we're going to go to a few of the museums, which are free here. The museum opened on the campus in 1990, and it has over 11,000 works of art in its collection. I asked in front what their most famous work is that they have here, and they told me that they had a Monet. This is Oatfield. It's beautiful. It was named after Samuel Harn, a Jacksonville businessman, and it's one of the largest university-affiliated art museums in the United States. This is cool. They don't have this in very many art museums. My children would definitely appreciate this. The touch zone. It's gonna bite you. All right, let's see what's in this one. Wow, it was Pops. That's a nice art museum. It's relatively small, but the layout is incredible. It's just beautiful when you walk into the different rooms. Heading next door to go to the Natural History Museum, which is also free. This museum has been around in some form since the 1890s, and it was brought here in 1917. The main area is free to visit, but it does cost to visit the Butterfly Garden. Watch out, Pops. There's lots of animals in here, including a elephant.
Grab his tail.
This museum is really family friendly with lots of interactive exhibits and a kids learning area. What's up, buddy? We saw you earlier this morning.
All right.
Technically, we didn't really see you. We wouldn't have been able to see that far this morning. Yeah. Wow, look at this. Those are all the different types of great sharks.
I'd just be a nibble.
The megatooth shark wouldn't even know he ate you. Yeah, Pops would definitely be a little snack. The museum has a great Native American exhibit featuring the cultures and early people groups that lived in this area. And it also has an amazing fossil collection in the museum's Great Hall. This is an incredible museum. I cannot believe this is free. Look at all the fossils that they have on display here. The fossils here include mastodons, saber-toothed cats, and even giant sloths. This is an extinct ground sloth. That's what it would have looked like. And then there is the fossil right there. Who do you think would win between a giant ground sloth and Pops? It said the ground sloth was very slow. So do you think that gives him an advantage?
I would pat him and scratch behind the ears, and then he would be my friend.
Look at the size of the claw. Wow. Shout out to the university for having both those museums be free. All we had to do was pay $4 to park, and there is an extra charge if you want to go to the butterflies, but we didn't do that. We've gone to a lot of butterfly museums over the years. We're doing one more thing, and then we're heading on to Tallahassee. On the way out of town, you'll see the 34th Street Wall, which is a 1,000-foot retaining wall. While most everything changes daily, there are two pieces that are not messed with. The first is the memorial to the victims who were killed on the campus by Danny Rolling in 1990. And the second is the memorial to Tom Petty, which includes the words Gainesville's #1 son.
Well, we're about 15 minutes north of our last stop here at this place called Devil's Mills Hopper, which is a bowl-shaped cavity. It's actually a sinkhole that goes about 120 feet down, and it's got like a little rainforest at the bottom of it. But it's interesting, where did the name Devil's Mill Hopper come from? It comes from early visitors who came here and believed that animals went down there to meet with the devil for some reason. But it's been a tourist destination since way back in the 1880s.
If you want to walk the entire nature trail around the sinkhole, it's about a mile round trip. But for us, we just decided to do the half-mile round trip, which takes us down the stairs all the way into the sinkhole and then back out. Be sure to check out Pop's video on his channel. I'll link to in the description. He's making a deep dive on this spot. And so begins the stairs. The sinkhole itself is around 120 feet deep, and it's about 132 stairs down to the base of it and then back up again on the way out. As you continue down, you get this kind of overgrown tropical rainforest vibe with different waterfalls coming down the hillsides, fern, moss, and little streams all around. As we counted, we noticed at least 4 little waterfalls flowing into the basin. I don't want to hear any whining about the steps.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
This is our second major road trip in Florida, and the thing that I'm always reminded about in Florida is just how beautiful all of the natural areas are. The things that you can see here are things I would never expect to see in Florida, and there's thousands of other ones we haven't even gone to. Let me know if you have a favorite natural site in Florida in the comments, but now we are heading north. As we were driving towards Tallahassee, we kept seeing signs for Busy Bee along the side of the road. We pulled off at the Busy Bee as it seemed kind of like the Buc-ee's of Florida, so we're gonna go in and see. This spot definitely reminds me of Buc-ee's. It has nice bathrooms, Busy Bee merchandise, it has a fudge area, a jerky area, and of course it has some of my favorite snacks. Oh man, they have them. My favorite thing from Buc-ee's. This looks exactly like it. Pops is going to try a sample of dill pickle popcorn.
Not bad, it's not overwhelming.
You're in on dill pickle popcorn?
It reminds me of pickle a little bit.
Is that what you want your popcorn to remind you of?
It's not bad.
I can confirm that's about as close as Buc-ee's as you can get. It's about a third of the size though, but it has these, which are my favorite. I will say I'm thankful there's not a Buc-ee's or a Busy Bee around me, because I could literally eat this whole bag and it is horrible for you.
It kind of makes me feel like I want to go.
We pulled 4 minutes off of the main road to come see Ray Charles' childhood home. I didn't see any information about this online, but it looks like you can call City Hall if you want to try to take a tour. This is a reconstruction of the home that he lived in for the first 5 years of his life. There's also a statue in the downtown part of this town that we're gonna go see right now. It was pretty wild how empty this town was when we were driving through it. I think we're about to get a little bit of rain, but you can see there's the Ray Charles statue right out there by the water. I have to say, that's a pretty awesome statue. Look at that. Pops, do you have a rendition of Ray Charles for us?
No, I will not even attempt that. I mean, I think a lot of people know him for Hit the Road Jack, but my favorite has always been a beautiful for Spacious Guys America. The beautiful song that he sang is amazing. Pull it up and listen.
It only rained on us for a couple minutes before the sun came back out again, and we continued on our way towards Tallahassee. On the way to Tallahassee, we saw this on Atlas Obscura. It's called Johnny Donut Seed. You know, I could not stop to see that. I will say it's a little underwhelming though, and I think he was supposed to have coffee that's no longer there. If you want to know how exciting this stop is, you can see that Pops did not get out of the car to see it. Alright, onward. We have made it to Tallahassee. Both of us are exhausted from our 14-hour day. We have one thing left to do, and that's to get dinner at the Midtown Caboose.
I'm tired.
It's only day 1 of our road trip. I had some friends from Tallahassee that told me I had to check this out, as it has a pretty eclectic and wild menu. Look at these crazy burgers. There's even one with s'mores on it. I'm not ordering that, but let me know how it is in the comments if you do. It was happy hour, so we started with the barbecue egg rolls before heading on to our main entree. I got the recommended sandwich, Robbie's Revenge, with caramelized apples, and Pop's got the cheesesteak burger with french fries. This is definitely a crazy spot, but it's fun. And with that, our first day is done. We will see you tomorrow. Starting day 2 of our road trip at Donut Kingdom in Tallahassee. If you want to see all the things we did in Tallahassee yesterday, check out this video and let's see what they got. Donut Kingdom is a family-owned shop that's been in Tallahassee since 2009 and has 3 locations. You know Pops and I can never pass up trying a new donut shop. Alright, so we got 4 donuts to try. We got Boston cream, we got chocolate, blueberry, and their most popular, which is French toast. Blueberry cake. Strong blueberry flavor, covered with glaze. I like it. After getting our donut fix, we said goodbye to Tallahassee and started our 1-hour drive to Florida Caverns State Park on what was sure to be another very long day. Made it with about 5 minutes to spare, heading out on the cave tour. Bye Pops, you're not going on the cave tour with me? I grabbed my tickets in advance to guarantee I was able to get on the tour, as this is the only state park in Florida where you can take a guided tour through a dry cave. It's actually pretty crazy, as I would have never expected there to be caves in Florida, just the sinkholes and other natural formations. This tour is about an hour in length, and it takes you through the part of the cave system that was carved out and built by the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s. Most all of the tunnels, lights, and even some of the buildings in the state park are all from that same era. This room is called the Donald Duck Room because of that formation right there. Looks like a duck. The limestone cave has all the things you'd expect from cave exploration, like stalagmites, stalactites, and even flowstone. Plus, there was a good amount of water in here from the previous day's rain, and there were some cool reflections to see. This next area is known as the tuck and squeeze, and you gotta get low and narrow for it. That was low and narrow. While this tour is fine for everyone, it is one of the more adventurous cave tours I've been on. There are quite a few areas where you have to bend down to get through a section, or you have to turn to the side if it's a little bit more narrow. It never really felt claustrophobic to me, but it's a lot less open than some of these cave tours are. There was one area where they turned all the lights out and it was complete darkness. And as you're walking through the cave, you'll see that they have a lot of unique lights shining on the rocks. Some rooms are greens and purples, and some rooms are blues, which really make the rocks come to life a little bit. We also crossed quite a few bats that were sleeping on the side of the wall and the low ceilings. This is not something I've seen in many of the caves I've visited, so it was especially cool here. At this next section, the highest point is 4 feet. It's gonna be a lot of bending over. We have made it out of the cave. I had no idea what to expect from that cave, and I've been in a lot of caves as you've seen in the videos, but I would say that was definitely above average. Lots of cool formations in there. The way that you have to kind of bend and squeeze into areas makes it feel a little bit more adventurous, but that was definitely something worth doing if you're into caves like I am. Now I'm meeting back up with Pops, and we are heading on to another state park. It took me a while to find Pops, as he actually went out on a different hiking trail while I was in the cave, and here's some shots that he took.
There are some pretty little trails here too that you can take. One right off the parking lot is called the Shortcut Trail. I'll follow that for a minute.
The Shortcut Trail leads to the Bluff Trail, which is about a mile in length, and it takes you along the floodplain. It's a nice trail that gives you some good views and helps you to understand more about the unique Florida landscape.
And then just like that, you're back at the visitor center.
After connecting back up with Pops, it was about a 30-minute drive to Falling Waters State Park, which was our next stop in Florida. We are now at Falling Waters State Park, which takes us to the tallest waterfall in Florida. It's a short hike, and it said it had moderate water flow right now, which should be good. Also, there is a handicap accessible trail down to the falls as well. There are 3 overlooks here, the sinkhole overlook, and then the upper and lower waterfall overlook. There's the waterfall right there, falling into that little cave. What makes this waterfall so unique is not the look from right there, but the fact that when you go down close to it, you get to watch it fall all the way into the bottom of that cave. We started by walking to the sinkhole overlook, which looked down on multiple sinkholes right in the middle of the forest. And then from there we backtracked a little bit and took the 5-minute walk over to the Lower Falls overlook. And there it is, Florida's tallest waterfall falling all the way down into the sinkhole. That is very cool. While it doesn't look like there was much water flow, they said that this was actually a moderate amount today. And while it doesn't look like much compared to a lot of the waterfalls in the United States, this is actually a pretty impressive one just because of the sinkhole that it falls into. And I have to say, I love waterfalls and it was well worth the visit for me since it was so unique. Guys, believe it or not, Pops was actually looking over the edge. He's improved a lot over the years. One of these days he's actually gonna go in a cave with me. I never realized how much I needed to see a waterfall flowing into a sinkhole. That was incredible. We got to see the caves this morning, we got to see that amazing waterfall, and now we are heading to the coast to drive 30A, which is supposed to be the most beautiful part on the Gulf Coast. Seems like it's gonna be a pretty good day. From here to the start of Highway 30A, it was about an hour drive.
Well, we made it back here to the Gulf Coast, and our first stop is the Man and the Sea Museum.
Actually, our first stop is Pops, the sea diver, saving a mermaid.
This is the perfect one to say, Happy Valentine's Day.
My kind of museum, it's got dum-dums inside of a shark. If you're interested in ocean exploration or diving history, then you must stop at this museum. This is so cool to see all of the different ways that they tried diving over the years. I love this. Everything will kill you, so choose something fun. This museum was founded in 1977 by the Institute of Diving, and it's all about telling the story of humans exploring the deep ocean. It has historic diving suits, helmets, submersibles, and even underwater robotics. There was also a 40-minute movie that you could watch while you're there if you wanted to get a good history on everything that you were seeing. For us though, we walked around for a while and then we went outside to check out Sea Lab. After leaving the museum, be sure to go into Sea Lab. What's Sea Lab, Pops?
Yeah, I'm not an expert by any stretch, but it's almost was like an underwater space station. You can imagine the guys up in space doing all kinds of experimentation, photography, everything like that. I'm pretty sure that's what Sea Lab was, only in the depths of the ocean, collecting that same kind of information. And you got to also recognize that this whole area of exploration was relatively new in the 60s and 70s. So the things that they found out were incredible. I can stand up in here. Look at this.
You're gonna go work on Sea Lab?
I'd struggle with the bunk.
It's so cool that they have this part of history and you can actually walk into it and explore. I cannot imagine people actually living down here for 12 to 15 days. That sounds absolutely terrifying to me, but very cool if you're interested in studying the ocean, I guess. There's how they would come out of the Sea Lab if they wanted to go around and explore. There's also a few more submersibles that you can look inside of, but you can't actually go inside of any of those. Alright, we've had a long day of driving and exploring so far, so we are going to finally get lunch. Here we go, we are turning on to 30A, supposedly one of the best drives on the Gulf Coast. Once you turn on this spot, the first place you'll see is Rosemary Beach, a very popular tourist destination. This is where we were planning on going. It says it's open online, but they just told us it wouldn't be open until March, so hopefully if you go here, the crab cakes are good, let us know. The next 2 to 3 towns are all very bike friendly and there's a path that runs between all of them. I imagine this would be a pretty amazing place to stay for a little while and just leave the car and just bike everywhere you want to go. Even without our lunch spot being open, this is a beautiful little town with everybody riding bikes and traffic is a little bit rough and I can't imagine how it is in the summer because this is way off season right now. We're gonna go down and walk the main street and see what we can find to eat. Rosemary Beach has actually only been here in its current iteration since the 1990s, and it definitely feels like you're in a small European town as you walk the cobblestone paths and the pastel stucco buildings. There wasn't any place quick to eat here, and since we had already spent a lot of the day driving and had a lot more to see, we decided to continue on after going to the beach. That looks like a beautiful beach back there, but you cannot access it unless you live here or you're staying in one of the resort properties, so we just looked and we're heading on. Right next to the beach is an amazing 55-room boutique hotel called The Pearl. It seems expensive, but let me know what it's like to stay here if you do. Continuing on, we drove through beautiful communities, each with their own vibe and all incredibly different than the normal beach towns you usually see on drives like this. We headed about 5 minutes up the road to an area called the Big Chill, which is supposed to have a lot of different food spots. It was late in the day by the time we made it to the Big Chill, so we were just excited to find anything that we could eat. The only spot that's open, so Duo's All-American Eats it is. Check this out, I've never seen it before. You have to scan the QR code, and then it'll give you 18 seconds to dispense your drink. So I dispense my drink, and look, I have 16 ounces of remaining balance. There's a lot of stuff on that.
A lot of onions on there.
You need a double with all the stuff they put in that instead of a single. And I went with the smoked turkey sandwich and sweet potato tots. Before continuing on, we decided to come to Deer Lake State Park because this has easy access to the beach, and it's kind of difficult to access the beach in a lot of these areas just because of limited parking and the way that they can control access to the sand. So we are going to the beach right now. While the surrounding communities are really built up and opulent, Deer Lake State Park feels like a more wild part of the coast. It really feels more like untouched, peaceful nature as you walk the boardwalk down to the white sand and shimmering water. If there wasn't cloud cover and the sun was shining directly on the water, this is where you'd see that emerald color that the Gulf Coast is known for. How's the water, Pops?
It's a little chilly. If you went in all the way, you'd feel it, I think.
Even without the sun, this is an incredible beach. We would have liked to have stayed longer, but it was really windy and there was supposedly a storm rolling in later that day, so we decided to walk the boardwalk back and continue on. We headed towards Seaside with the end goal of spending some time in that town, but on the way we decided to stop to grab some ice cream. We were told by multiple people that Pecan Jack's is where we needed to go if we wanted ice cream on 30A, and that they're known for their great flavors and some of their alcohol-infused ice creams as well. I got the Elvis, which has marshmallow, peanut butter, and banana, and this is a brownie batter waffle cone, and Pop's got Kahlua and coffee.
Yeah, Amaretto in here, I think.
This is a strong spot. Don't pass up Pecan Jacks, that's for sure. We made it to Seaside, found a place to park, and we are walking to Truman's house from The Truman Show. Seaside is where The Truman Show was filmed, and there's multiple locations you can see throughout the city. In case you were wondering, this is not the Truman house. They have a sign pointing to that one. And here it is, the house from The Truman Show.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good morning. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good afternoon. Wait, good morning. Good morning. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. All right, well, let us know who did it better. I had an entire group of construction workers watching me, so I got a little stage fright. Pops didn't have any of that on his. Also, they said that people come all day long to do that in front of the house, so we were not the first, believe it or not. Since we had already found a parking spot down by the house, we walked the 5 minutes back to the downtown area of Seaside. Man, Seaside is hopping today. There's all sorts of food vendors out there. There's all these places for people to hang out. You can't even drive in here. It's actually a pretty cool downtown. As you walk around, look for the post office, which was built in 1985 and is supposedly the most photographed post office in the world. I like that post office. I can see why people like to take pictures there. It's like a most Instagrammable post office I've ever seen. Next to the post office is the Modica Market, which was featured in a couple shots in the movie. And I guess that completes our tour of the Truman Show at Seaside. I think there's a pyramid over here or something that was in the background of the shots, but I would say this is a really cool town. I like this one. This is my favorite on 30A so far. Even in the off season when we were there was all sorts of food trucks and vendors lining the street. The whole community seemed to be out just enjoying the weather and walking around the beautiful town. The last point of interest you can see as you're walking back is the Coleman Tower, which is just seen in the back of a lot of different shots in The Truman Show. There's a walkway and stairs through it that take you down to the beach if you want to spend some more time in the sand as well. As we finish up our drive on 30A, I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about it. It's a 26-mile scenic highway that winds its way along the Gulf Coast through many different beach towns. Each of these towns have their own personality, and they're all right alongside some of the most beautiful beaches you'll ever see. We saw the entire thing in one day, but it would have been cool to spend a little bit more time getting to know each of the communities. And just like that, we're back to the 98 and we have finished all of 30A. We made it to Destin. We were gonna watch the sunset, but as you can see, no sunset tonight. So we're here checking into our hotel and then we're gonna go to a fun food place for dinner. When we made it to our hotel, we noticed it had shuffleboard and we spent a good amount of time hanging out down here. We have made it to apparently a rite of passage when traveling the Gulf Coast. You have to eat at Fuddpuckers. So we are happy to oblige. It looks like they just allow you to tag on the walls, so we're definitely gonna have to do that before we leave. It had a wait, so we put in our name and we set out to explore the massive property. Pops, what is this place that we are at?
No idea. It is one of the craziest places we've ever been with.
That says a lot for us. They said, oh, there's a 15-minute wait. Just go see the gators while you're waiting. So here we go.
These are all these baby alligators. Look at them. What'd you say?
Pop's getting a hug from the
Are
alligator.
you whispering in my ear? What are you saying?
As you can no doubt tell, this place was wild and we had no problem killing 20 minutes here. This is Big Jake and he was a real crocodile. Look at how big that guy is. He weighed over 1,000 pounds. In case you're interested, you can actually use a fishing pole and they will give you food to feed the gators that you put down on the fishing pole. So that is possible during the day. He said they only eat when it's warm and the best time is midday, so we won't be here for that, but it sounds like a pretty unique experience. I imagine that every time you go here, you'll see something different, and there was even a sign that said, warning, unattended children will be fed to the alligators. And just like that, our table was ready and it was time to eat. And they will give you a Sharpie that you can write on the wall, and so Pops is taking that literally. He is writing on the very top. Sir, I don't think you're supposed to write up there. Check this out. There is literally an alligator in that drink. Never thought I would drink a drink with an alligator sitting in it like that. And this is the grilled chicken nachos, and it is the only thing we were going to order because we had food like 3 hours ago.
We surely did, including ice cream.
Wow, is that place an experience? I don't even know what to say about it, but I will say that our waiter Pete was awesome. Very friendly guy. Pops, do you have any thoughts?
It's just crazy. It's just a lot of fun. Lots of different things to do, look at. It's all silliness, but it's fun.
Very silly. That's it for our second day on the road trip. We'll see you tomorrow. 2 mornings in a row, starting with a donut shop. This one came highly recommended to us by many people. The Donut Hole in Destin has been a love spot since it was created in 1978, and it has multiple locations around the city now. That's also a diner with full breakfast, and there was a lot of people waiting in line, so might be good for that as well, but those donuts look strong. I hope they taste as good as they look. That's the vanilla, which is the most popular, the key lime, the devil's food, and the toasted coconut. It has cream leaking out the side of it.
That's so good. And the donut is really good too, but the cream is excellent. Wow. I think it makes a big difference who you eat donuts with in terms of your enjoyment.
That's probably true. Cheers.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
that's a very good one.
It's got a good sweetness to it, but the toasted coconut is really strong flavor.
So this is the best of the 4 we got here, I think.
I'm going vanilla cream is my favorite, toasted coconut is my second, but both of them are worth coming here to eat.
Yeah. Cheers.
On to the next spot. Before leaving Destin, we decided to head down to the Harbor Boardwalk and check it out a little bit. Destin is known as the world's luckiest fishing village, and it's one of the most popular beach destinations on the Florida Panhandle. I can't even imagine what it'd be like to come here during the summer or during spring break. I'm sure it's packed with people. Let me know if you've been to Destin and if I need to come back and experience it again. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday and it's basically a ghost town down here right now, but it looks like it would be a really cool place to come in the summer when everything's going on. The vibe I get from Destin is that it's very family friendly, probably outside of the couple weeks of spring break. There's a lot of things for kids to do here. I mean, check out that zip line. That's awesome. Leaving Destin behind, we crossed the Destin Bridge and then we turned onto Santa Rosa Boulevard so we could go to the National Seashore. The seashore stretches across the Florida Panhandle and the Mississippi coast, and it's a protected area of pristine beaches, untouched dunes, and coastal history. As you can tell, it's not the nicest day, but when you're at a new national lake shore, you gotta go experience it. Just Pops and I. This is a massive park that covers over 160 miles along the coast of 2 states. The part we're in is called the Santa Rosa area, and you do have to pay to enter, and then you can access many different beaches along this section. What an incredibly beautiful area, and they told us that when we entered that these beaches see far fewer visitors during the summer. So if you're looking for an escape from the crowds at Pensacola Beach, then you can come down here and you can generally get away from people. I would imagine you'd have to come down here pretty early though, as the parking lots were very limited at the different beaches. We decided to pull out at one more small parking area along Santa Rosa Island and walk down to the beach one more time. I was hoping that the sun would fully come out so we could see that green emerald water that this area is known for, but it never happened during this part of the trip. We were able to see these birds just dive bombing the water though, and that was pretty cool. I can't get over how beautiful this area is, seeing the birds just dive into the water, the light green of the water. Man, this is a special place. Saying goodbye to the serene beauty of Gulf Island's National Seashore, we were almost immediately in the chaos of Pensacola Beach. Luckily, it wasn't summer, so it was easy to find a spot to park at down by the pier to explore. Coming from California, I've never heard of a pier where you actually have to pay to walk on it, but it costs $2.25 to walk on the pier. See if it's worth it. The Pensacola Pier is one of the largest in the Gulf, stretching almost 1,500 feet out. While walking it, you can get amazing views of the coastline, and on clear days you can see for miles in both directions. This is another beautiful spot along the Gulf Coast. I've been blown away by how many amazing places they have along here. I imagine this isn't that fun to come to in the summer with how many people are probably here, but man, it really is beautiful. I could see why people would want to come down. Now we're going back into Pensacola and then across the Gulf shores before ending the day in Mobile, Alabama. As you can no doubt tell, you could spend entire days in Pensacola, Gulf Shores, Destin. All of these cities are very touristy and have lots of different things to do, but we're just seeing a small portion of them on this trip. Heading on, we cross the Pensacola Bay Bridge. So right when you come off the bridge, you can take the first exit and you can come over here and see this unique piece of Pensacola history called Graffiti Bridge. What makes this old railroad bridge so unique is it's basically never the same thing twice. People paint over it almost daily, leaving everything from art, protest messages, birthday shoutouts, memorials, and silly doodles. Looks like the most beautiful painted was a three-peat for the Chiefs, but then it got crossed out with Eagles. We like stopping to see unique things like this, but we didn't spend long here and we headed on to lunch. Before leaving Pensacola City, we decided to stop for lunch at Joe Patty. This is a legendary spot in Pensacola that's known for some of the freshest seafood in town. It traces its roots all the way back to the 1930s when Captain Joe Patty would sell his fresh shrimp off the back of his boat. Now it's a full-blown seafood market, and while there's not that much here to buy for lunch, you can buy all sorts of fish to cook yourself. We did find out that they sell gumbo in the back that's supposed to be amazing, so that's what we went for.
Look at this for $3. Look at the shrimp in here and the fish and the sausage. This is incredible. Plus all
And
this
rice,
other stuff.
and man, we found a good spot. And this place is a trip. There's so many people in there, all getting all sorts of different kinds of seafood. There's a sushi shop, a wine shop, there's a gift shop, there's gumbo and clam chowder. It's pretty cool. We had no idea we were gonna have amazing gumbo like this, as we literally just stumbled on this spot. And these are the hidden gems that blow us away and that we love finding when we travel. All right, we are heading out of Florida and into Alabama. As you approach the Florida-Alabama state line, then there's a special bar that you must stop at on the way. We've made it to the thing Pops is most excited about on this entire trip. What is it? Going home?
The beach?
No, Pops. It's Floribama. Part dive bar, part beach party, part live music venue, and somehow also a cultural landmark, stopping at Floribama is basically a rite of passage while driving the Gulf Coast. Even early on a weekday, there were lots of people here having drinks and there's live music setting up. We didn't stay for too long here as there were some Mardi Gras events we were hoping to get to in Mobile, Alabama, But I have to say, as touristy and silly as this looks like a fun spot with locals and tourists alike all having a good time. Pops is looking for coffee, not beer, so I think he might fall asleep in the big chair.
Bring me to anything.
You can also take the elevated boardwalk from the bar directly out to the beach if you're interested.
Well, somewhere right here is where the state line between Florida and Alabama is. I was kind of hoping there'd be some line on the beach that would show the Florida-Alabama state line, but I don't see anything. So I could be in Alabama right now, I could be in Florida, I'm not sure.
Heading back into the bar, we stopped at the souvenir shop, and in case you're interested, you can basically pick up anything Floribama that you could possibly want.
That was a wild spot. It's like noon and it was hopping. There was 2 different bands playing. There was people having drinks everywhere. Not the vibe right now. We're looking for that coffee type of vibe. There is a bench up here where you can sit on the Florida and Alabama sides. That's what we're gonna do before we head on.
Right here, baby. I'm 100% sure.
And this is Pop's first time in Alabama, so
Yeah.
you could just stick your arm in Alabama, or there you go. You've made it.
Why you sat in Florida, I don't know.
I'm in Florida, sweet home Alabama. Pretty cool.
Saying goodbye to Florida and entering Alabama, we found ourselves at the Southern Grind Coffee House. This is almost a complete 180 in vibe and experience from Floribama.
Stop for our first Alabama coffee.
It was somewhat of a dreary day, so we didn't spend a lot of time exploring, and we just continued heading into Gulf Shores, Alabama.
This is Gulf Shores, Alabama. We're not going to spend a lot of time here because we're heading to Mobile to do some stuff today, but I at least wanted to show you the beach, so if you come down here, you can make your own decision about how long you want to stay. Honestly, these Gulf Shore beaches are incredible. They're all so beautiful. The water's a little bit warmer, the green color comes through. Incredible.
Right across from the beach, there's this place called The Hangout, which is a fantastic restaurant if you're looking for some lunch. Plus, it's just a cool spot with art to look at and even a live music venue.
That is a great spot for families. There's an area for kids to play. There's tons of tables and places to spread out. Definitely a cool spot.
If you're looking for a unique souvenir, you can walk through the Shark at Souvenir City, but for us, we just continued the hour and 10-minute drive to Mobile, Alabama. We were rushing, so we even had to pass a Buc-ee's, which always makes me sad as I love stopping there.
Check out how big this bridge is. There's literal interchanges on the water. Never seen anything like that before.
As we approached Mobile, Alabama, it took us a while to get around all the Mardi Gras traffic, but finally we found a place to park so we could explore.
We've made it to Mobile, Alabama, where the Mardi Gras festival just started. It's like 4 weeks long, but we already got our beads. We're gonna go to the Mardi Gras Museum, check into our hotel, and then see a parade tonight.
We got to the Mobile Carnival Museum 30 minutes before it closed, and luckily they let us in to explore. In case you didn't know, Mardi Gras actually started in Mobile, Alabama, not New Orleans. And Mobile's Mardi Gras is actually a really family-friendly event. This museum is a hidden gem as it showcases the entire history of Mardi Gras, which started in 1703. Some of the highlights include the elaborate royal robes and gowns worn by Mardi Gras kings and queens over the years, which are hand-sewn, covered in jewels, and look like something out of a fantasy film. There's also information about the float designs and all of the different costumes that are worn. While the historic building that it's housed in seems small, the museum is mighty with lots of things to experience on the 3 floors.
Wow, we just got a rush tour through the museum because we got there late, but they fit us in, and Craig Roberts is absolutely fantastic. He wrote the book on Mardi Gras and Mobile, and he was the one who gave us our quick tour.
Oh my gosh, we were so fortunate to meet Craig, and he was incredible with his information, great sense of humor. Wow.
Yeah, that is a really cool museum, and I cannot wait to see the parades tonight.
After leaving the museum, we went to check into our hotel, which was basically behind the museum and a perfect location in the city.
Here is our room 311. It's nice.
This was a good spot on the 3rd floor. Note that there's no elevator, but it worked great for us.
What a cool spot. It was a good price, and it's right next to the parade route, like literally on the other side of the parking area, so we can just walk out, watch the parades, and then not have to deal with any of the road closures. All right, we got about an hour and a half before the parades start coming through, so we're gonna go get something to eat and explore a little bit. This is what the aftermath looks like of the first parade, and they said the night parades are a lot crazier.
As we walked over to our dinner stop, we decided to go into the Cathedral Basilica of the Immaculate Conception. This Catholic church was one of the first on the Gulf Coast, and it opened in the early 1700s.
Even the horse has his beads for Mardi Gras.
For dinner, we headed down to Dauphin Street, which is like the nightlife street in Mobile, Alabama, and they have all sorts of restaurants and bars lining the street. The street itself was closed down to traffic, and you could just walk in the middle of the street for this event.
This is wild. There's so much energy down here, lots of cool places to eat. Everybody's just having a good time. There's families. Totally digging this.
We had been told that we needed to go get a po' boy and that we should go to Debris to have one. Even though it was packed, we were able to find a spot outside, which was better for people watching anyway.
This is a banana Foster infused old fashioned. Shout out to Craig for telling us to come here. He also told us to get the fried green tomatoes and crawfish sauce, so we'll see how that goes, but cheers. It's way better than I anticipated it being.
This is so crazy unique. Fried green tomatoes, and you dip it in crawfish sauce. Look at the little crawfish there. So unique.
Pop's got soft shell crab. He's so excited right now.
Soft shell crab po' boy, baby. When you do soft shell crab, it feels like you're eating a spider.
No thank you, I'm good. Oh, he's got a leg hanging out his mouth. This is called a piquette, where they hollow out the bread and then they stuff it with shrimp. I don't know, it looks pretty cool. You guys, this piquette thing is incredible. So much flavor, and they like toast the inside and put some sauce on it. Wow, this is blowing my mind right now. Pops can't even talk, he likes this crab so much too. Good spot, thanks again, Craig. We appreciate it. Fantastic place for dinner, way to spoil us, Mobile. Now Pops and I are gonna have a contest to see who can get the most beads during the parade. Let us know who you think's gonna win in the comments. So there's our hotel right there, and then here is the parade route right here.
Our hotel was a huge win for us as it allowed us to just relax and hang out and wait for the parade, which was right outside of our front window. Plus, from the back of the hotel, you could actually access the parade line early, and I walked down to see all of the different floats before they headed out.
This is blowing my mind right now. I had no idea what to expect, but this is definitely not it. It's gonna be pretty epic.
Here we go.
Here we go, the parade is beginning. I got 4, Pops got 4 off the ground. We'll see how it goes at the end. This is the Pharaoh's Parade, and it is founded in 1985.
In case you didn't know, Mardi Gras isn't just a specific night, and there's actually weeks of parades every weekend leading up to Fat Tuesday. This was just one of those random parades in the beginning of the celebration.
Oh, look what I just got. Woo-hoo-hoo! Where's yours at, Pops?
I was getting a football for a little
Look at this, look at these. Check it out, I just got an entire one right there. Still got the tag on and everything.
You good?
You're doing pretty good, Pops, but you ain't at this level, baby.
Yeah.
Woo!
The parades here are super family friendly with lots of kids all over trying to catch different things they throw out. I mean, they were throwing stuffed animals, frisbees, cups, footballs, and even food.
Oh! Thank you! The entire box of moon pies. I just got top ramen.
This parade probably went on for about an hour and a half, and because of the parade route, you could actually catch it multiple times if you were interested. Pops and I just basically followed it around trying to catch all of the beads that we possibly could.
All right, we got one more round of the parade coming by us. What do you think is up right now? Pops definitely made a big jump in that last round.
I hesitate to put it in my mouth because it was on the ground, but
He found a fake cigar.
The funniest thing about being at the end of the parade is that they're basically just chucking everything that they have left in their floats. So if you're hoping to take anything else home with you, definitely go to the end.
Pops is jealous of my catch right here. I may have taken the lead, but there's still some left, so Pops could catch up.
This was such a fun experience, and we both talked about coming back with the whole family next year.
There's the parade right there as it's ending, and our hotel is right here. That is pretty hard to beat if you're looking to stay in Mobile. All right, first off, That is an incredibly fun event, very family friendly. Kids were getting dozens of stuffed animals thrown to them and all sorts of food and everything else you can get. It was incredibly fun. Let us know what you think. Did I get more? Or did Pops get more?
I can barely breathe. There's too many.
That's it for our third day on this road trip. We will see you tomorrow. Starting our morning by walking to get some coffee, and look at how clean this is. This is literally where all of the chaos was. The moon pies and beads and everything were down there. They did a pretty good job overnight. There's some beads you can pick up if you want to try to have a second competition.
The coffee shop we were originally going to go to was closed, so we headed over to the Admiral Hotel, a historic and beautiful hotel in downtown Mobile. This hotel has been here since the 1940s, and it's definitely worth walking through just to see the lobby, but there's a coffee shop right off to the left of the lobby as well. Before leaving the city, we decided to head out and see the top attraction, the USS Alabama Battlefield Memorial Park. This ship launched in 1942 and it has an impressive combat history. You can actually tour the entire thing from the engine room to the captain's bridge.
Here is all of the different places it traveled.
It looks like this was really critical during World War II because it says 42 to 45. These are all the things that it did.
It's so crazy when you tour ships like this, as they're basically like floating cities. They have everything from dorm-style sleeping quarters to a dentist office to a post office, a kitchen, radio rooms, and even medical bays. It was designed so that 2,500 crew members could actually live and work here.
I didn't think you were going to come down the stairs, Pops. You just keep proving me wrong on this trip. I don't think you were built to be a military man.
I don't think I was built, at least not a Navy man, that's for sure.
The whole experience is very hands-on. You can climb metal ladders, duck through bulkhead doorways, and even walk the narrow halls. And the amount of time that you're going to spend here is basically up to you. You could spend an hour or even a day if you want to learn all about it.
Overnight groups only. Apparently you could actually spend the night on the ship.
We explored the interior for a while before moving up to the deck, where you get some great views of the guns and out towards Mobile in the distance. After exploring for a while and making it up to the highest point that we could on the ship, we decided to continue on.
That's a fascinating piece of history. We spent about an hour there. You could easily spend 3 to 4 hours depending on how interested you are in it. But we are heading on to New Orleans.
Leaving Mobile, we drove for a while before making it to the state line.
We made it to our third state, Mississippi. Pops has never been there either.
No, I'm adding 2 new states to my list.
Continuing on, we drove past the remains of a landlocked lighthouse and then decided to head out to Gulf Island's National Seashore to see the Davis Bayou area.
This is the Gulf Island Seashore map, and we were over here the first time at Opal Beach, and we have made it all the way over to here, Davis Bayou.
We decided to start our exploration at the Visitor Center, which has lots of great exhibits about the Gulf Islands area. Here you can learn about the history, the lighthouses, and even the forts that are along the coast. If you're interested, you can actually take a tour out to Ship Island and you can see the fort out there, which is right here. And it happens during the summer. A couple times a day, they'll take you out there. I wish we would have been here in the summer, as I would have loved to have taken the boat out to Ship Island, as I bet it would be a lot like Dry Tortuga National Park, which we explored a few years ago.
There's not a ton to do here right now, as a few of the nature trails are closed, but it's a beautiful area to explore for a little bit. Nice visitor center, and you can see the bayou. Pops has a new name on this one. He's the passenger princess. He sits and drinks his coffee and looks at his phone while I just drive him around.
I'm not embracing that at all.
And now he gets to eat donuts again. Third time in one road trip. That's a record for us. But we are going to tell you what the best donut is on the Gulf Shore based on the 3 that we've tried. Also, this is a big claim because Tato Nut says that they are the only real donut. The only one.
I don't even know what that means.
This donut shop in Ocean Springs, Mississippi was packed with people, and it took us about 10 minutes just to order. We were told they use a potato flour in their dough, which makes the donuts super soft, fluffy, and just slightly chewy.
All right, we got the king cake donut from Mardi Gras, we got devil's food, and we got maple iced.
Well, we're in Mardi Gras season here, so we have to go with the king cake donut.
Look, I'm not a fan of king cakes. I've had them a lot over the years. This is actually pretty good for a king cake donut. You liked it that much, you ate the whole thing.
That's what it is.
I think my favorite donut from this trip is the toasted coconut. That one was the pinnacle right there.
I think I'd go with this maple one as number one. Number two, maybe that creamy donut that we had at the other place. I can't remember the first place we went to.
I honestly can't remember the first place in Tallahassee either. I think I liked it, but I can't really, the comparison's hard 4 days later.
One of those.
So there you go, our unofficial donut review. Thanks for watching. From Ocean Springs, we kept driving along the coast, crossing many different bridges on our way to Biloxi, Mississippi. The city was different than I imagined, with lots of casinos right along the sand. It was also time for lunch, and surprisingly, we were told to go to Le Bakery, which is a Vietnamese place and supposedly has amazing sandwiches. Based on the fact that there was a line out the door and all the pastries in the pastry case were gone, I had to imagine we had stumbled on a good spot.
All right, in Seattle, when my daughter lived there, always would get the pork banh mi there, which is what this is.
There's no indoor seating currently, that's why we're in our car.
The bread is perfect, crunchy, I love it. And the meat has really nice too, nice flavor to it. Yeah, and the way they combine with the vegetables is really nice.
That is a lot of meat in my sandwich too. They are not messing around here, and this was $5. $5 for the sandwich with all that meat in it. If you like this type of sandwich, I would definitely say that's a good spot. Plus, they won the best king cake award or whatever as well. So if you want to get a king cake, you can get one right there. Now we are heading on to one more stop before we go on a swamp tour. From there, we continued driving along the coast, passing many different souvenir shops, casinos, and lighthouses on our way to our next stop. On our way out, we decided to stop by a very unique historic spot called the Jefferson Davis Presidential Library.
Jefferson Davis was the only president of the Confederacy from 1861 to 1865, but now we are at the Jefferson Davis Presidential Library.
And that is his house out there. You can actually pay to tour that as well, but we're not doing that on this trip. The home here was built in the 1850s, and Jefferson Davis moved here in 1877 and lived until his death in 1889. We didn't have a lot of time here, so we just spent about 20 minutes looking at the different exhibits on his life, the Confederate States of America, and the broader Civil War era. Obviously, this is a controversial part of the nation's history, but it was interesting to walk around and to read more about the lives of the individual soldiers who fought in the war. Leaving the library behind, we had to hightail it about an hour towards New Orleans to get there and get on the last swamp tour of the day. We made it to Cajun Encounters just in time to head out on our 2-hour swamp tour. When we started planning the Gulf Coast trip, the number one thing that Pops requested we do is take a swamp tour. Happy to oblige, since I had never been on one as well, we decided to do this one on the Honey Island Swamp. The 2-hour tour began as we boarded the small flat-bottom boats that are able to navigate the narrow waterways inaccessible to larger vessels. This allowed us to have some up-close encounters with wildlife, which you'll see later in the video. The tour started by heading south and cruising the Old Pearl River for a while, learning more about the delicate ecosystem and the history of this area. During this section, we learned about the plant life, the types of water, and we hit the gas a few times going fast along the river. After about 45 minutes, we were back under the bridge where we started, and we headed north along the Old Pearl River, and this is where the tour really started to get good. Here our guide went slow and took us down many different offshoots, always looking out for alligators and other wildlife. Due to it being a colder day, a lot of the alligators were still in the water as it wasn't worth getting out of the water, making it a little bit harder for us to see them, but we did see 2 to 3 on the trip. My favorite part of the tour came when we took a narrow offshoot and we stumbled on a whole family of raccoons. Seeing them climb the trees, walk along the water, and even finding things to eat was such a cool experience. Our guide was also hilarious and had us laughing many different times as we were on the tour. That was a really good time. Can't beat the price, about $35 for 2 hours of exploring the swamp. Shout out to Captain Jody. I felt like I was on the Jungle Cruise at Disneyland. He was just dropping dad jokes, but he was also giving us a lot of good information.
I love the Bayou accent as he was teaching us stuff, and great views of animals, so peaceful back there. I just really enjoyed it.
I agree, that was a super fun tour. We got to see a couple alligators, some raccoons, some snakes, and just learn more about the history of the area, and it was very entertaining. Now we're heading on to New Orleans.
As we made it into New Orleans, this signified the end of the driving portion of our 5-day Gulf Coast road trip. But don't worry, we have a lot more to show you in the city. Made it to our hotel in New Orleans, the Wyndham, and we are on the 10th floor. It's pretty crazy to think about those old French buildings right below us. Bourbon Street is only one street up. If you ever wondered what it's like to be Pops when I'm doing a room tour, he just hides in the corner like that.
I'm not hiding, I'm told to be out of the way.
After relaxing for about an hour, we decided to hit the town and to walk Bourbon Street.
Pops is experiencing his first time on Bourbon Street.
Very excited.
Pops doesn't like things like this. It's literally 6:30 at night and Bourbon Street is this crazy. We're just doing one loop and then we are going to get dinner.
Bourbon Street is the center of New Orleans nightlife, and it's basically culture, chaos, and maybe a little bit of charm all rolled into one. It's in the French Quarter, and it's about 13 blocks of bars, live music, neon lights, and historic architecture. I've been here on some busy holiday nights, and I have to say it makes Las Vegas look classy. It's also Mardi Gras Central, and I wonder what a Mardi Gras experience would be like here compared to what we saw last night in Mobile. I do have to say though, one thing I love about Bourbon Street is the live music.
I tried to get tickets, but I waited too long. But this is Preservation Hall Jazz Club, which is by far my favorite place in New Orleans. So if you want to come listen to some jazz, definitely get tickets before you come.
After making it to the end of Bourbon Street, we turned around and walked all the way back, just in time to get to our dinner reservation at the Palace Cafe.
We've escaped Bourbon Street and made it into our restaurant, but we still have Michael Jackson outside dancing.
Yep.
If you've never been to New Orleans, then note that this is probably one of my favorite cities I've ever been to for food.
So this is their famous dish here. It's called crab meat cheesecake, and they said don't knock it till you try it. So we're gonna try it.
It is very quiche-like, very mild crab flavor. And the sauce, I don't know how to describe it. It looks like a brown gravy. It's definitely not a brown gravy, but it's very, very mild.
Pops liked the crab dish, but he wasn't as excited as I was. That blew my mind. Incredible. I wish I could have ordered 2 rounds of it. It was so good.
I finished the crab dish and Pops got a starter of French onion soup.
I went with the andouille crusted fish, and Pops went with the chicken and jambalaya. New Orleans kills the food game. This is supposedly an above average restaurant in the city, and it's blowing my mind with how good this fish is that I got. Pop's got this chicken dish that's smoky, flavorful, so good.
It's got jambalaya, which is, I'm all about jambalaya, so I love that combination of almost like a fried chicken with jambalaya.
The last part of the meal is that they're setting up to make a banana Foster right in front of us. Pop says he needs more food.
This is the second most excited thing today.
This dish and its presentation was created in 1951 at Brennan's Restaurant in the French Quarter. Palace Cafe is part of the Brennan's Restaurant family, which is why they make the Bananas Foster here as well. The dish is flambéed right in front of you, which means they set the rum on fire and the flames shoot up from the pan. Add a little cinnamon for the dramatic flair, and it's something you'll never forget in New Orleans. I've done this before, and I was so excited to give Pops this experience.
Bananas Foster, New Orleans.
Lord, that's amazing.
It's a pricey end of the meal, and they require you to do 2 orders, but it's totally worth it.
That was a fantastic meal.
Absolutely amazing.
Great end to our 4th day on the road, and we will see you tomorrow to finish the road trip. We're flying out in a couple hours, but we wanted to go to a few spots in New Orleans before ending the video.
We started the day by doing our own walking tour of the French Quarter, and it was cool to see all of the ways it was decorated for Mardi Gras. When I come back, I definitely want to take a guided walking tour of the French Quarter, as I'd love to learn more about all of the history here. We walked over to Jackson Square, saw the famous St. Louis Cathedral that wasn't open yet, so we'll see that later, and then continued on to Café du Monde.
Here's the menu. You can get coffee and you can get beignets.
Big fun on the bike.
One of the best things about this spot is just listening to the sounds of jazz playing from the street corner as you're waiting for your food.
How excited are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm a 9 plus.
I'm a solid 10. I've been waiting to eat this for a long time. I'm very excited. That has a literal mountain of powdered sugar on top of it. Pops is a little bit lighter on the powdered sugar.
Got the diet one.
Yeah.
Just out of the fryer.
These are so good. It's so good. Crispy. The sugar on them is perfect. Yeah, this is a real treat.
My turn. Look at all of that powdered, so much powdered sugar. That is incredible. It is just exactly what you want from a beignet. It's not dry. It was right out of the fryer, covered in sugar, great flavor. It's one of those rare spots that lives up to the hype. Cheers.
We liked it so much, we grabbed some beignet mix and some ground coffee to bring home with us. So we left some beignets, we couldn't finish them all, but check out the aftermath. Look at all of that powdered sugar. That's insane. There's so much on that table and on the plate. I could have stayed for a while just drinking the coffee and listening to the jazz music, but we decided to head on and explore more of Jackson Square. And there is the mighty Mississippi right there. We will be back when we drive the Great River Road. Jackson Square is a perfectly manicured park surrounded by street performers, artists, musicians, and history. And then right at its center, it has a statue of Andrew Jackson on horseback. And then on the other side of the statue is the St. Louis Cathedral, which is the oldest continuously operated Roman Catholic cathedral in the United States. Its current structure was built in 1850, but churches have stood on this exact spot since 1727. It's free to enter when it's open, and when you go inside, you'll see the beautiful stained glass, the vaulted ceilings, and the hand-painted murals. I don't think I've ever seen more beautiful murals painted on the top of a church in the United States. It's definitely something you need to see while in Jackson Square.
We're now heading back to our hotel to get our car, go to the World War II Museum before hitting the airport and in the video.
Right outside of the museum is a statue of Anne Frank. I'm not even going to begin to scratch the surface on this museum as you need multiple days to experience it, but I wanted to give a shout out here so that you would know that it's something you should visit while in New Orleans. This isn't just a local gem though. TripAdvisor has ranked it as one of the top museums in the entire world. It's incredibly well done, covering the war from every angle. The battles, the people, the tech, and all of the untold stories. Wow, this is a depiction of the air and sea armada for D-Day. It was called the most difficult and complicated operation that has ever taken place. The museum itself is massive and it feels like it takes up multiple city blocks. You'll find sections dedicated to Pacific and European theaters and the home front while you're exploring. I can't even begin to describe how amazing this museum is. It's the most detailed, unique museum I've ever seen on the war. You could spend days here. Many of the exhibits use unique technology and are interactive, and you can actually follow the story of one fighter through the entire war if you get one of the cards. I can't say enough good things about it. It's something you absolutely have to see.
That is easily one of the best, if not the best museum I have ever been to. We spent 2 hours there and we didn't even scratch the surface. We didn't even see everything. You need a full day to fully appreciate it.
Absolutely. The background's incredible. The information. Learned a lot that I didn't know about with World War II. Great stuff.
And with that, we're heading to the airport. Our time on the Gulf Coast is complete. Epic road trip. So many unique and different things to see. Pops, what was your favorite?
3 things minimally. Historically, the World War II Museum. The biggest surprise, the Mardi Gras parade in Mobile, but then all the beautiful natural beauty along the coast is just incredible.
Yeah, I think all the natural beauty is one of the things I wasn't expecting. Florida especially has so many beautiful things that you can see naturally, but being able to beat Pops in that bead competition in Mardi Gras, that's one of those things I'm going to remember for forever.
Well, there's an asterisk there. I'm not sure I agree with that.
All right, that's it for this one. Let us know what you thought in the comments, and we'll see you on the next video.